Hey friends, it's Chantel, and today I wanted to take you along kind of with me as I do a morning routine. I kind of like watching people and their different routines throughout the days, and I thought it would be interesting to document different morning routines at different times of the year. Right now, I don't have any little ones, so my morning routine is a little different than it was a few months ago, but the basics, kind of like the backbone, has stayed the same. So I like to get my stuff ready in the morning. The first thing I usually do is try to remember to take my medication. I don't have the greatest memory, so this doesn't happen as often as it should. Unfortunately, as someone with a few chronic illnesses, just taking medication every day is a part of the routine that I will have to do for the rest of my life. Like I shared in my video about my Bible reading plans for this year, I am reading the Bible recap. I am doing my best to read 2 days worth each day. I've been reading this since the end of November and just loving it. It's amazing the things that this summary has pulled out each day. Jared is also reading it, but he started January 1st with some friends, and I plan on picking up with them after I've read it through. So on this particular day, I was reading Judges, starting at Judges 19 and then finishing that book and reading Ruth. But Judges 19 is quite the interesting chapter. There are so many things, events and things that happen in the Bible that I'm just like, what? So confused. And reading the Bible recap, especially for this passage, these few chapters, was so useful. This one is a gruesome one where things happen and this guy ends up cutting up his concubine into, I believe it was like 9 parts, and then sending it to the different tribes. And it's one of those things where it's like, why did this happen? This bookmark I got when I was like really small from a library fair thing, like a scholastic book fair. So reading the Bible recap for Judges 19 to the end of the chapter there, end of the book, was so helpful, and so much was brought out. Once again, this happens every time, where I'm just so thankful that people have put time and effort into this so I can understand some of the portions that are much more confusing than normal. I forgot to bring my highlighters over, and I always have like a ton of pens and highlighters because I like to mark my books up, and this morning was no exception. I've even been highlighting in the Bible recap book because there are some things that have been sticking out. In this portion in Judges here, I really liked this part about obedience doesn't guarantee our desired outcome. Sometimes its purpose is to teach us faithfulness to God instead of our desires. And that one really hit me because so often we expect that if we're just being obedient, that things will kind of fall into place. And I mean, life has proven that is not true, but still sometimes just keep expecting that to happen. Then the next section for me to read, so I finished Judges. That was the first day that I read, and then the second day that I read was reading through the entire book of Ruth, which is one that I've read many times and feel like is pretty straightforward. But again, the Bible recap was able to pull out things that I kind of haven't really clued into before. Like I said, and I'm going to keep saying, I'm really enjoying that book. It's really helping me to understand the things that I'm reading, and it's bringing out different things that I haven't really noticed before, and I've been appreciating that so much. And on a cold January morning, I like to make hot cocoa. I like to make it all the time, honestly. I just do cocoa and sugar, and I'm very specific on the kind of cocoa that I like because it really can change the flavor so much. I add in a little bit of hot water just to mix it together, and I decided to go with a fork because it's actually been mixing them together even better than a spoon. And then I'm also very picky on the type of cashew milk that I like to add in. It has to be silk cashew milk. And then I just microwave it for about a minute and 45 seconds, sometimes a little bit more. And I wanted to light a candle this morning because, full disclosure, garbage may have been left a little too long and stank a bit. So I wanted to light a candle to help hide some of those smells after it was taken out. There is a lot of reading as part of my morning routine these days. I have just a ton of books out in front of me, and I kind of go through them in the same order for the most part, but some things change from day to day. This is generally the same routine I had with a little one or little ones as well. It was just a lot more interrupted. A lot more potty breaks, a lot more getting them snacks and breakfast and all the things. So now I am doing my daily prayer time. I have a journal I write in for my prayer. I tend to change up my prayer routine on a regular basis. Currently, I'm just writing out the month and then writing down different praises and different prayer requests and all sorts of different things. It's not my favorite format, but it's working for right now. This particular morning I had a video go live, so I like to read through and reply to comments, and then also do the things like check Instagram and that kind of thing. Okay, and then I have my binder, which has lots of different things in it. So the first few pages are just a bunch of different goals. Here I'm crossing out one of my goals for being 35 was to post 52 videos to each of my channels, and I had a video go live that morning, so I crossed that off. Here I have this printable that I got online. It's a printable that goes through the entire year trying to form a habit, and my habit for this year is trying to walk every day. And then also I've made myself these printables because another one of my daily goals is to create something every day. So I'm just taking a moment to write in what it was that I created the day before. And then I have a quarterly goal sheet that I printed out from online that I don't like at all. I want to make my own, just kind of bringing out a few of my goals and which ones I want to concentrate on this quarter. And then I have my list of 2022 goals, and I go through and see if I only do this every few days, this particular part. I go through and see if there's any that I've accomplished in the last few days. And I had a couple here that I had finished. I had read one of my classics that I wanted to read in 2022, which was Persuasion, and I had another goal as well that I checked off. I also have my reading journal in this binder. Every day I kind of write if I started a new book the day before or finished one. I didn't have any on this particular day. I'm in the middle of a ton right now. And then I have my line a day, which I just take a minute and write down a little bit about what happened the day before, something funny the kids said, something that occurred, what I've been feeling, etc. I just kind of take a minute and write down a couple lines of something that happened the day before, and then it's always fun to look back on things that happened previously. I am in my first year of this particular journal, so it's not as interesting as it will be in a couple years, but I know previously I've really enjoyed being able to look back on the last few years and see exactly what it was I was doing that day. And then I'm always reading at least one nonfiction book, and I try to get to that after my morning quiet time. Today I'm reading A Waking Wonder by Sally Clarkson. I'm rereading this and just loving it. It has been inspiring me so much for homeschool, and at the beginning of the year is a great time to read it because there's so many different things I want to implement, and it's getting me excited about homeschooling again. And it's honestly not even just a homeschooling book. It's also encouraging me in my parenting and giving me all sorts of different things to try. I really like Sally Clarkson's writing, and this is one of my favorite books by her. I have a few, but this is definitely one of them. And it has been highlighted over and over. I highlighted it a ton last time. I'm highlighting it a ton this time. And I want to go back and reread my highlights when I'm done. One of the things this book is really making me remember and appreciate is the idea of a Christ-centered homeschool. It's something I'm thinking a lot about lately. At around 8:30, I go and I turn on the lights downstairs if I haven't heard from any kids. It's a weird time of life where they're waking up later and I have a very quiet morning. So after I've turned on the lights, then I often go into my office and try to do a little bit of work, planning what I want to work on for the next day. This particular day I was kind of writing some video ideas, my calendar, and answering some emails, which, let me just be honest, I am terrible at emails. I'm working on putting in place a system to reply to them in a timely manner, but I kind of hate emails. Am I allowed to say that? And then another thing I was working on this morning was sending out a newsletter to my BookTube bookish subscribers. I have a newsletter specifically for them, and so I wrote that out. And then at this point my kids were waking up, so I decided to make our daily juice. I have been loving my juicer. I've been using it every day since I got it for Christmas. And today I'm making a pear apple spinach juice, and this is one of my favorites. Pears are surprisingly strong. They have a strong flavor. I was very surprised by that. So what I ended up doing was juicing 2 pears, 2 apples, and then about a cup of spinach, and pretty much only you could only taste the pears. So you're getting I want to try to up our vegetable intake and lower the fruit when it comes to our juicing, but we're doing this with baby steps. I want the kids to enjoy it as well, because I'm not the only picky eater in the house, but it's getting us some fruits and veggies into us as well. And the spinach can have a strong flavor, but when you add it with something like pears, you really don't even notice it in there. This has been one of our favorite juicing recipes so far. We have a few, and yeah, like I said, I'm gonna try to slowly up our vegetable intake, but it's a step, it's a start. This is definitely one of the better juices. And then my juicer is really easy to clean out. I've been saving a lot of the pulp unless I've been doing citrus. I save the pulp for my composting worms that are hanging out in my basement. And then I just make sure I wash everything right away. And I pretty much just have to rinse everything off. It comes with a little scrubbing brush that I use for the blade portion. But it's been super easy to use. And like I said, I've been using my juicer every single day. So that's kind of how my morning routine is looking these days. My pre-sunrise morning routine, I get this done before the sun even comes up, which isn't saying much when it's winter in Saskatchewan, but it helps me feel productive if I get this all done before the sun comes up. And I'm enjoying this morning routine. It's been interesting getting used to doing all this without little ones in tow, but it's been a good change. So there you go. There's a look into my morning. I would love to hear what part of your morning looks like. And thanks so much for being here, guys.